Hey Hofstra fans, welcome inside this week's edition of the WB Mason Coach Report here on Hofstra.com. I'm Tom Verdi, joined now by the head coach of the Hofstra wrestling team, Rob Anspach. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, of course, Coach, a big weekend for your team this past weekend. Out in Las Vegas at the Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational. Team finishes with 59.5 points, 10th out of 34 teams. How are you pleased with your team's overall performance?
Yes and no. It's one of those weekends. There were some guys that wrestled very well, and there's some guys that needed to perform a little bit better. So, one hand, I'm pretty pleased with some guys, and we definitely need some work. So there was good and bad to the tournament. So, not totally pleased.
Let's start with the good. 165, of course. PJ Gillespie makes it all the way to the finals. We foreshadowed this matchup last week against Shane Onifer, the only guy who was ranked ahead of him nationally and also in the seeding, and winds up falling 4-2 in that one. Another tough match against a guy who, of course, he already has some history with from the NCAA.
Yeah, it was a tough match. PJ, I thought, throughout the tournament looked really, really good. Was more offensive, which was what we had talked to him about. And then even in the finals, he was in on more scoring opportunities. We only got one. Onifer got one himself, but he was able to get off on bottom for his two escapes where we were not able to do that, and that was really the difference in the match. We kind of talked about some things with PJ coming back, and what I told him, he's a fifth-year senior. He said he wanted to go neutral in the third period. I said, that's your choice. You've been wrestling a long time. When we got finished with that match, I said, I would like to see you go down. I think you can get out. I think it just says something about you choosing down and getting out. But, it is December, and hopefully when we get to March, we change that score for him.
Now, another guy who obviously there were a lot of high hopes for, Steve Nano at 125, winds up falling in the semifinals to the top seed, Nick Bedellian from Kent State, in a close match, but still posted a couple of impressive big victories again. And, how impressed were you with Steve?
Steve, I thought, had a great tournament. He's been wrestling the best he has since he's been here, and we just look for him to continue to get more confidence, especially with wins that he had this weekend. His quarterfinal match with the kid from the University of Pitt, Zanetta, had beaten him last year at the national tournament, and he beat him 11-3. So he really changed that match. I think if you look at his scores, he had 2 technical falls, a major decision, and 8-3 for the third place match. So he really, really looked good throughout the tournament. That's what we wanted to see from Steve, and that's what we want to see from all our guys. He got takedowns, and then he went right to work on top and got a lot of turns, and just really, really had a very good tournament. The match with Bedellian was good. It was a lot closer than the score was. I think the score was 8-1, but it was a very competitive match. We had some chances we didn't score on. Bedellian had some chances and he did score. So we just need to kind of correct some of those things, get a little bit better on defense and a little bit better once we're in on his legs in order to beat him.
Another guy, Justin Ackroyd, he also placed. He finished 8th. And we talked about him, maybe this could be a good tournament for him to get his confidence back up, but winds up getting the #1 seed in the consolation bracket and falls in 2-1 in overtime, so it seemed like he also had a strong tournament for himself.
Yeah, Justin was, he was one of those guys that depending on the match, it was a good tournament or a bad tournament. He was a little bit too inconsistent for us. The match he lost in the championship round, he just really kind of went out there and made a stupid mistake, went upper body, got thrown to his back, was down 5-0 to start the match, and you do that against good guys, and it's very difficult to win that match. So then that put him down. He did a great job wrestling back. He beat the kid from Indiana, who was the 4th seed, Walsh. He beat him fairly easily. So when he was on, he was really good. When he was off, he wasn't very good. So we need him to be more consistent from match to match, and if he can do that, he's going to be very good.
Yeah, 2 other guys wrestle on the second day, Luke Veit and Ben Clymer. Both guys had both of their losses come to seeded opponents, but you have a guy like Veit who, you weren't really sure what you were going to get out of him. You were hoping for good things because of what he's done this season, and a guy like Clymer who maybe you were expecting a little more out of, I would guess.
Yeah, Luke was a guy that, we know as a staff and a team how good he is, that he can be really good. He hasn't shown it on a big stage yet, so it would have been nice for him to go out there and win those matches in place. The guy he lost to in the championships was in the semifinals, ended up taking 5th. The guy he lost to in the wrestlebacks ended up 4th. So he lost to 2 quality guys, and 141 was the deepest weight class out there. You had the defending national champ lose and end up at 3rd, and you had the guy that was the national runner-up take 5th. So it was a deep weight class. Luke, I felt, was better than the guys that he lost to. kid from Kent State and the kid from Nebraska. We just didn't get the wins. And those are the matches you really hate to see. When you know in your heart you're better than that guy and you still don't pull out the win. We need to correct a couple things in his wrestling to get those wins. He did a great job against the kid from Nebraska for probably 5 minutes and 30 seconds of the 7-minute match, and he had a lapse for a short period of time, and it cost him the whole match. He was winning the whole match, 2 takedowns to none. All of a sudden, he got taken down and didn't get out, and he loses 5-4. And those are the matches that you need to win. And that was to get him into the placing round, and I do believe he would have been wrestling for 3rd and 4th if he had won that match.
And for Ben?
For Ben, yeah, it was. He comes in 7th. He's a guy that you expect, just based on seeds alone, he should be placing. He loses in double overtime in a situation where he should not have lost. He was up 2 points, and he got taken down going into the second ride-out time with that kid having the choice of bottoming. So you have to ride him, and we didn't do it. But he knows it too. You're up 2 points, you don't get taken down in double overtime. It just is something that you cannot allow to happen. He had a split second where he relaxed. Kid took advantage. And it was hopefully a lesson that you cannot relax at any point in time in wrestling. It's 7 minutes of intensity, and you need to do it. On the bright side, I felt Ben had shot a lot more this tournament than he had against the Wisconsin kid and at the Bearcat Open. So there was definitely some positives from his wrestling this weekend. And so we don't want to always focus on, oh, hey, you did this. He did do some good things. He is making some steps in the right direction. So those are the things we need to work on and improve. And we just need to, correct a couple small errors.
As for the rest of the guys, Tyler Banks goes 2-2, Franco 1-2, Jermaine John 1-2, Matt Lowe 1-2, and maybe most notably Paul Snyder 1-2. I know Paul was the guy that we had talked about. You were hoping would get a chance to face some of the best in the nation and really get prepared for the NCAAs.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I think we were all a little disappointed in Paul, including himself, at his performance. He went 1-2. The match he won was probably one of the better kids. And he went out to that match and was very aggressive, got a takedown right away, and really took it to the kid. The 2 matches he lost, he kind of stood back. He got behind because of 2 penalty points with one like a finger to the eye and one with like a headbutt they called. A little questionable calls, but it changes the dynamics of the match, so you fall behind early. And it kind of put him out of his element, but we can't allow officials or whoever, you can't allow things to happen like that. You just, doesn't matter what happens, you got to stay within your game plan and go out there and score points, and that's what we didn't do a good job of. And he knows it, and we're going to come back and we're going to work on it, and hopefully when we go out Thursday, there's a much more improved and much more focused Paul Snyder. Some of the other guys, quickly to go through, I thought Jamie Franco 1-2. Obviously, we wanted to see more out of him, but when I look at his matches, you look at the first kid he wrestled, Stephen Keith, he lost to him 11-1, I think, up at the Bearcat Open, comes back 2-1. You're talking about a 9-point improvement, pretty quickly within a short period of time. So that's good. It's always good to see those things. Tyler Banks was a guy that, again, his matches that he loses, the kid James Green from Nebraska, who he lost in the championship round, comes back for 3rd. It was a match that we could have easily won that match. And Tyler just needs to continue to build his confidence. 2-2, not great, but not terrible. He needs to continue wrestling better, and he has been. And he's showing more and more confidence in his wrestling, and it's starting to show more in practice, and we're just waiting for that to turn into better results. Jermaine John was the one guy I think really, when I look at the team, I was kind of more disappointed in than anybody. I thought he's been wrestling really well. He's been trying really hard. And I don't know what it was about this tournament that he did not wrestle the way he had been. And we talked to him at length after the tournament about what kind of was going through his mind. And I don't know if it was the environment of that type of tournament, wrestling guys from the Big Ten. It wasn't, but he had seen guys from the Big Ten before and wrestled well. So it was a little disappointing for him and for us as a staff, because we do expect some big things from him, and he did not wrestle to his potential, and that's what we talk about, being consistent throughout tournaments, and every time you step on the mat, knowing what we're going to get out of our guys. And right now Jermaine seems to be a little bit up and a little bit down, so we want to just get him on a more consistent basis.
You brought up Thursday before a matchup going to West Point, Crystal Arena against the Army Black Knights, a team who seem to kind of get into a dual match with every year now. It seems to finish 28th out of 34 at the Cliff King Las Vegas Invitational. What are you seeing from Army?
Well, anytime you wrestle those guys, they're going to wrestle hard. They are a little bit hurt right now, so I don't know what their lineup's going to be. I know they didn't have their full lineup out at Las Vegas. they're in the same situation we are. You know, it's a short week, it's a rough tournament, it's a quick turnaround for it. So you have to be ready to compete on that rest. Our guys, you know, their body was still a little beat up. Flying from the west to the east is always difficult, and we got a quick turnaround to get ready for a match. You got to have the weight under control. So I'm just looking for our guys to go out there and be ready to wrestle hard for 7 minutes. When you wrestle any type of military academy, Navy, Air Force, they're always in great shape. They always wrestle very hard. So you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready to match that intensity. I do feel we are a much better team, and if we perform to our abilities, we shouldn't be 10-0 and come home with a pretty easy win. But if we're not prepared and our guys aren't ready for that challenge, it's going to be a close match.
Now, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned on the one hand, some of your guys who went deeper in the tournament, a short week for them to get ready. On the other hand, maybe some guys who didn't perform as well as they want, quickly get right back out there and have a chance to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's, if you're looking at that positive of not performing very well, that is the one positive. They had that extra day to rest. But obviously, we want guys wrestle deep in the tournaments, and we're fairly healthy coming back. I mean, it's soreness, it's not injuries, so it's just kind of getting the body ready. And you know, to me, it's one of those things that when you're preparing, we always talk about preparing for March. And when you're out at the national tournament and you're wrestling Friday night, you are sore, and you have to win anyway. So this just helps you get ready. It challenges you mentally to fight through some aches and pains, and you don't feel 100%, but very few people feel 100% at March, so get used to wrestling that way.
All right, Rob Anspach, head coach of the Hofstra-W.B wrestling team. Thanks for joining us inside this week's edition of the Coaches Report.
Thank you.